Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Unconscious Edge. I'm a big believer that every business problem starts in the mind, and that's what we solve here on this call. So if you let me know what's going on in your business or personal life that's giving you some mental trouble, we'll dig into it and talk about how we can make a solution for you. So I'm not sure who was on first, Brett, Carlos, Jacob, which either of you guys got a question you need some help with or anything, just feel free to unmute and ask away.
I'm just checking in, just going through every call or coach. So I'm just here to watch first.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty new as well. But I was looking at the recordings in the group and saw what you were doing and wanted to hop on. Um, I think one thing that I've struggled with I mean, I just have a lot of anxiety a lot of times getting on calls. It's like a performance anxiety.
Okay.
Um, and so I know that every time I talk to somebody about it, it's like, oh, you're just so connected to outcome, you're connected to outcome. And it's like, to an extent, sure, but like I think that I just like I put so much pressure on myself just in general.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so that's something that I've been struggling with a little bit.
All right, yeah, that's a common thing that we've heard a lot on these calls. The question that I would ask you in terms of outcome and like I guess looking at it a little bit differently than if I don't get this outcome, it's bad, but specifically in your case, can you identify like what would that mean? Like what would it mean
Yeah,
for you if you don't like if you get the outcome or you don't get the outcome? What's the meaning behind that? And then we'll go from there.
yeah, sure. So I get really caught up. It's not even really caught up on like me getting paid or like, that kind of number. It's more so I get caught up in just the KPIs and like close rate and wanting to show up for the team because like I'm moving into a position where I'll be in more of a managerial role.
Hmm.
But there's kind of this in between that I'm in right now where like I've got to get the team to a place where they can sell to the same capacity without me, but
Yeah.
just with the current with the a smaller team size, so that I can come off the calendar and start focusing more on training and things like that. And so like with being in that in between, I put a lot of pressure on myself to be really good at this because like I'm afraid that if my KPI is super or if my close rate is super low, then they're going to see me as like maybe not as much of an authority. Maybe they won't want to listen to me when I do move into a managerial position and whatnot. And my numbers have been really good actually the last couple of weeks. It's just I don't like the way I feel when I'm getting on calls, and I'm just super stressed out and want to perform to the highest, potential, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. So we just identified some good stuff though. Is that if I do not perform and have the KPIs, then I will be viewed in this way,
Hmm.
right? What proof do you have for that?
Hmm. I don't know. I don't mean, I don't really,
I guess do you have any proof that that's the case?
I don't think that I do. I think it's like, my mind immediately goes to that worst case scenario. Um, and then I just stress out about like I don't want to be in like a position where I'm not doing well or like that my numbers don't look good. Like I don't know. I think that I don't really have anything tangible right now. I fear that I will have something like that, I guess.
And what would happen if you did?
I had a feeling you were going to ask that. Um I don't think anything would change. I mean, I think that I would still be set to be in a leadership position. And I would still be able to support the team. It's just, I guess, it's like I create this fallback, like, oh man, I'm really excited about this call, but hey, remember that 1 month where your KPIs weren't where they were supposed to be, and then it just drops my mood. It's like I'm constantly fighting myself, maybe.
Gotcha. So just if you think backwards now, can
Mhm.
you identify a point in time where this belief began? Where you first started to experience this, you first started to think that if this happens, then I will be?
Mm.
Is there an event that occurred?
I don't know if there was a specific event. I know that just going through therapy and stuff about it, like growing up, I was always, my dad kind of, he was hard on me, but he always just kind of told me what to do. And I kind of got in this position where I just was doing what I was told. And I kind of, I have a hard time trusting myself. And maybe that's where it's stemming from. Like I don't trust, like as much as the all the studying and all the classes and all the calls that I've had,
Hmm.
um, maybe there's like an element of trust. Like I don't have enough trust in myself to know that I'm gonna be okay. Like I'm gonna figure it out. It could be
Hmm.
something there. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like we're getting down a little bit deeper to the root.
Sure.
So, on the topic of trust, I guess, why do you think you don't trust yourself, or why do you feel like you don't trust yourself? Has there ever been an experience where trusting yourself didn't work out for you?
Yeah, I think it's like it's mostly just been small things like um
And
kind of
also,
like
just thinking in a different direction,
yeah.
what would be possible if you did trust yourself?
I mean just the confidence and I feel like the peace of mind would flow through a whole lot more often than it does now. I get it occasionally, but it comes and goes.
Can you
Um
think of an experience where you trust yourself fully?
like past experience.
Yeah, just any experience.
Um
And you don't have to identify it like out loud. Can you identify it like in your mind?
hmm.
Because that's going to lead to a follow-up that I want to ask.
I don't know if I can. I mean, I can't think of a specific event. I know I have a lot of evidence that like I've been able to accomplish quite a bit that I would say, and this isn't like an ego thing, but it's just quite a bit that I would say a lot of people maybe haven't. And so like there is enough for me to look at and be like, hey, you figured this out in the past. Like, why do you feel like you can't figure it out now? It's just like kind of a constant battle.
So if you can think back to those situations where you trust yourself and figured it out, and I then from there compare it to the sales situation, what's different about the pattern? And what I mean by that is, how did you approach that situation that you trusted yourself differently than you would approach a sales call? Because the other thing that's possible here, not to change directions too much, is that we get into a belief system or a pattern that from the place of like it's that typical like if I fear failure enough, I will succeed.
Yeah.
So it becomes a strategy to create this internal fear and this internal anxiety because anxiety is very close to excitement in terms of
Mm.
moving us forward. So like that's a little bit different conversation, but around like the same concept here, how do we reframe the way that we're viewing the situation? So that way we can, like in that case, you can change your strategy. But one
Yeah.
of the ways that you can help to train or reprogram the way that the mind sees it is by having these comparisons that we're talking about, where like you can point at it and you can just basically you can disprove it.
Yeah. Yeah. I find myself, that's a good point. Like with the stretch, looking at it as like a strategy,
Hmm.
because I do find myself doing that a lot, where I'm like, well, because I feel like if I feel this way, like it means that I'm in like a good place. Because every time I get here, I figure it out, and then things work. But it's like the stress of performing all the time is just like it eats away at me, I guess. But it's a good point, like talking about the strategy side of it. I think that is where I see a lot of that in my pattern for sure.
Yeah, like without getting into like specific techniques where like you have to work with a practitioner that can do like mental emotional release work and get rid of these belief systems, like some of the things on your own that you can do is like having these conversations, even in the moment prior to going into it. So one of the things like I think of for you that might be, I guess, beneficial to use if you're open to it is like the next time you hop on a sales call, you're getting ready for it, and you feel this come up and you feel that sensation, is to actually say to yourself, like, oh, there it is. I've been here before. Like this is normal. Like this is comfortable. Right. And because this comes back to that concept of safety.
Mm,
So a lot of the times what's happening is we're creating something that's mental and that's connecting to an emotion. That emotion is relating to a physiological response. So that's why we're feeling in our body. Maybe it's a heart rate increase, it's sweaty hands, it's something that's giving you this sense of I'm in this state again. So in that moment, it's how can I remind myself I'm safe?
mm,
Even though, like, by all means of what we today consider safety, it looks like I'm safe. I'm in an office, I'm in a chair, like, but because of that mental loop that occurs, it's creating this physiological response that's sending these signals that, hey, we're not safe. So that would be a really cool thing for you is identifying, like, what is that phrase? What is that thing I look at? Maybe it's a proof point that, like, shows me in the moment, like, this is normal, I'm safe.
mm.
And I'd be curious if you do that, how does that dissipate the physiological response?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I get to some other people as well. Are you good on
Sure.
this, helpful on this so far of like how to think through it?
Yeah, yeah, no, I think that's super helpful. I appreciate you kind of walking me through that. I could do that and then just show up maybe to another call and we can talk about how, how it
Yeah,
worked.
I love to hear the feedback on how it worked for you and we can go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it.
Rokas, I see you have your hand up.
Yes, yes, I do. I'm not sure if this is the right call to ask this type of question, but I have like this fear of asking, like having difficult conversations with prospects.
Hmm.
Now, the issue happened, I didn't have it before when I was speaking like to my kind of level type of business owners, right? Like making around like 20, 50K a month.
Hmm.
But now I'm kind of speaking to like business owners or like VP of sales that are making between like million and like $50 million a year, right?
Hmm.
And I just have like this fear of talking with them, like difficult situations, like difficult questions, like trying to dig deep on them. I'm just trying to figure out how I could, go over this type of, I don't know if it's even a fear or not.
Yeah, can I just ask, what are you afraid of?
I'm not sure, honestly. That's
Well,
the biggest question.
you are.
Yeah,
You just got just if you take a second and like go into your mind, what's the fear? Like what would happen? Like what? Like there's because even if you don't consciously know it, like unconsciously, it's there. Like so, if you like really ask that question, and if you can do it now, it'd be great. But if you can't on your own, do it. Like sit down. Like what am I actually afraid of? You'll get the answer.
yeah. Okay, I'll have to dig deeper than honest because I can't think of anything right now at this moment.
Well, something's changed. What's changed? Their status.
Yeah,
Like their status and your perception of that status. So what's the difference between someone who makes 50 million and someone who makes 50,000?
but nothing, honestly. Yeah, just a bang of figures.
What is anything change in your situation of the sale? Like
No,
are
no.
the stakes higher? Are you like, are there more pressured consequences, things like that?
I guess so, since I'm the business owner, so if I do close a deal, the value of the client is much, much higher.
Hmm. So is it afraid are you fearful of losing the opportunity or fearful of
Yeah, probably just losing the opportunity just by knowing how much I could make if I do sign them up.
gotcha. So what would happen if you didn't sign them up?
I get to get the next sales call. Nothing.
And like so like again, just going through this type of questioning with yourself can help you uncover like what is it that I'm actually afraid of in this situation? But then also how not how silly is it for me to be afraid of this, but like how can I see past it or see around it? You just
Yeah.
keep asking and keep asking and keep asking. The other thing to think, like I think of in this scenario as well, is if it comes down to like communication with someone in this position and you feel like you need to communicate differently, I also find that a lot of times people in those higher up positions appreciate someone being real.
Okay.
Like they don't want to be talked to like there's like they want to just be able to talk to someone like a normal human being. Now there's a level of respect obviously that comes into these things, but like most of the time they just want to be able, like just talk to someone. They don't want to have someone sell them in a specific way or treat them in a specific way because of their position. They want to just be treated like a regular person. Like so if you just maintain, like as long as you're selling from that position of yourself, like you're actually showing up in an authentic
Yeah.
position, and I mean like true authenticity, not like social media authenticity, then there should be nothing changing between these two sales calls except possibly the process if you're selling something different.
Okay.
Does that
Yeah,
make
that makes
sense?
sense. Total sense. Yeah.
Yeah, like so again, like just reminding yourself of that, like there's no difference between this person, like this person's name is James and this person over here's name is James. Their income has no difference in who they are.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Anyone else to see Brett or Carlos, Jacob? Oh, you're Jacob down here. Anyone else that has a question like to dig into?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
So, one thing that I have noticed that happens to me is that there's times where I feel like you could say really driven. So,
Hmm.
like, I'm doing everything, I'm doing all my habits, but then like 1 or 2 days, like I still work, but it's like half-assed. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
Like you still like obviously doing productive things, but you're not doing it with the drive that you know you can.
Yeah, yeah.
And I have a hypothesis behind it, but I'm not 100% sure why I do that.
Okay. What's your hypothesis?
So I feel like sometimes I restrain myself from doing things for like the sake of working. So like I love reading, but
Hmm.
sometimes I'm like, oh no, I shouldn't read, because I gotta hop on a sales call, I gotta do this or I gotta do that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's my hypothesis, but I wanted to get your insights, like, or maybe you can help me uncover a little bit more.
Yeah. So when you look at the pattern and how it's lining up in terms of time, how many days, like, so you're pushing hard for X amount of days and then you're pulling back?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So one of the things I've talked about in these earlier calls, I talk about this in terms of the spiral sales method, is this concept of contraction and relaxation or compression and expansion. So
Mm-hmm.
going like really high level of like polarity, there's always two opposite ends of the pole. We're always moving between 2 points. Um, every step forward is a step back. Like everything is going forward and back. Everything is a wave. So if you think of how that operates now with your mind, so mind is superseding body. Mind is sending signals to brain in through body, and then it comes back. If we are always using it, so let's say you go hard for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that like you are compressing.
Mm-hmm.
So mind must go down through the body, like staring at a phone, sitting on a computer, like forcing yourself, and even if it's not forced, but just putting yourself into a concentrated task for extended periods of time. Imagine there's
Mm-hmm.
like a spike, like a coil in the center of you, and you're coiling it down.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that after so much time of coiling it down, it must release and it must expand, which is where we're seeing the discrepancy in behavior, where I'm still doing it, but I'm not really concentrated effort of doing it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Part of that is also connected to what you mentioned, is there's these things I restrain myself from. Those things that you restrain yourself from are a way of expansion, a way of
Mm-hmm.
relaxation for the mind. So again, over enough period of time of restraining yourself, it's natural for that spring to want to go back really fast, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've either compressed it way down, it's going to explode, or we stretch it way out, it's going to pull back together. So one of the things from a tactical standpoint that you can use to help alleviate this is to give yourself these breaks. So I talk about this in like a daily cycle of, hey, I'm going to work for 90 minutes and I'm going to rest for 30 minutes. And I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to work for X amount of time and I'm going to rest. But when you're doing that rest, it's got to be like actual rest. So
Yeah.
like going for a walk, sitting and meditating, like not digging yourself in, like sitting on a phone or going on social media is not going to be the form of rest.
Mm-hmm.
So how can you give yourself time to expand during those work, like grinding days? So that way, instead of grinding for 3 days, we can just work consistently for four and then eventually for
Yeah.
5. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Like we can't just keep putting the pedal to the floor, or you can, and then you can keep doing coffee and everything else to keep it going and keep it going. But eventually it's going to force back.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So if you can keep in mind this idea of compression and expansion, like think of it, like I like this analogy. It's like if you had a ball and you throw the ball at the wall,
Mm-hmm.
you have the energy that's in the ball in your hand, you throw it, that energy becomes active, it hits the wall, goes into the wall, and it comes back to you. But if you're always pressing forward, it's like you've missed the ball. The ball just
Yeah.
rolls by you, so you never get the energy back. Whereas if you take time to rest and actually allow your mind to expand, you catch that ball.
Mm-hmm.
And then it allows you to regenerate more energy. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, that
so
makes sense.
that like our world is very heavily focused on like productivity and grind,
Yeah.
which is just pressing down that spiral, compressing it in, or throwing the ball, but we're never catching the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually you're going to run out of energy.
Yeah.
And that
And
goes
how
at,
do you
oh, go ahead.
and how do you do it like really disciplined, like following a schedule type of thing? Like let's say 90 minutes, 20-minute rest. Because let me give you an example. Like this morning, I really felt like reading, so I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go read." And there's times where I don't like feel like reading, and I actually want to do work. So how do you balance that out? Do you do it based on feeling, or do you actually follow a schedule?
I try my best ability to do it based on feeling. Like I
Mm-hmm.
was just sharing with the other guy who was just on, I think Rokas was his name,
Mm-hmm.
and he was asking about his fear, but not knowing what his fear is. And I was like, you know what it is. Your mind will tell you. When you
Mm-hmm.
start to simplify your mind and your world, and you give your mind this chance to expand, it will tell you what it needs. Like you will
Mm,
know exactly what you need. And I mean this like when you get to this really, really like calm, peaceful place mentally, like you will know
yeah.
what to eat. You will know when to sleep. You will know when to wake. You will know what to read. Like that's like it's a long process to get to to get to that point. But like just sharing my
Mm-hmm.
own experience, like where the place I'm in now, I follow my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Like what I'm studying, like what I'm producing, like it's I just know what to do. But it does take
Yeah.
time to get there. Again, it comes back to talk about trust.
Yeah.
Like that's where like there is a genius inside of you that is just your true self, and you got to learn to trust it. Your intuition, it's that knowingness. And the more that you trust it, the more confident it gets, and the more clear those messages become. So like
Mm-hmm.
leaning into, yeah, I don't feel like reading right now. I want to work, like work.
Yeah.
And like depending on what type of task you're in, it's having this reminder to yourself that I can do this at any time I want.
Mm,
So again, like for me, it's very different. Like I work like between like 1 and 5 a.m. I wake up and just need to like it's like it pours out of me. But then I might
yeah.
not work for 4 days. Now, like with what I'm doing, that works that way, but it might not work that way in within your environment. So it's how do you structure this within an environment that's applicable?
Yeah.
So there needs to be a little bit of structure in the beginning, especially if you're working for someone else. Um, but to the best of your ability, it's like when you're grinding really hard in a focused task, you know when to stop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That makes total sense.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's just listening to that and stopping and going
Yeah.
for a walk or going and doing something, going and talking to someone, whatever it's going to be. Like one of the big ones I implement for anyone like in scheduled tasks is like when you have lunch, take lunch. But
Yeah.
don't do anything but lunch. Like don't do anything but eat.
Yeah.
And then tune in to like what am I eating? How does it feel? And what like think about eating. Like don't sit there and worry about something else. Don't put your mind someplace else. Put it in the moment, the best of your ability.
Yeah. Sweet. That makes total sense.
Yeah, and that will apply to everything else you're doing. Everything, even what we talked about today. Like the more you're in the moment, the less you have to worry about anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas like anytime we're thinking or worried about something or afraid of something, we're not actually here.
Yeah. And that's what I notice when I'm reading. Like I'm reading through some pages and I get some thoughts like, oh, but I gotta finish this. And I'm like,
Hmm.
no, like this is your time for reading. Like enjoy it while you still can, because then you gotta go do it. you
Yeah,
know.
and like just keep bringing yourself back to that moment. And again, the more you do it, it's like training, just any type of
It's
training, the better you get.
cool. Appreciate that.
Yeah, my pleasure. Jacob, I see you got your hand up.
Yeah. A question regarding what you and Brett talked about with like using logic and like
Hmm.
reframing yourself to like reduce the emotion your body keeps producing. Because I've done that before and it's like helped, a bit with lowering your anxiety maybe, but I feel like it still like continues.
Hmm.
How do you like, is there a possible to like completely get rid of it, or is it just a way to
Hmm. Yeah,
like
yeah.
lower it?
Yep. So um there's two parts to this. Number one is understanding that like mental and emotional energy is actually real. Like it has a measurable property to it. So like the way that you're thinking is creating feelings, and those are creating more thoughts. And all of that exists within your body. Like it creates chemical changes, hormonal changes, like think stress response, like it creates changes in the body. So anytime you've gone through experiences in your life where you've had either a shocking incident or you've had any sort of negative thing happen to you, it tends to get stored in here. And this is becoming more popular nowadays of like somatic release or like fascial stretch therapy. I can tell you, without getting too deep into it, everything exists in your fascial network in your system. Like that's what houses all your emotions. And that relates to like soul and consciousness and all sorts of deeper stuff. But I say all that to like through releasing your body. So finding the tight spots in your body and like where these feelings are occurring and actually releasing these areas through either getting massage therapist, someone who's familiar with anatomy trains and the whole fascial network and how it applies to this, or just yourself learning. There's YouTube videos. There's a company called Human Garage that's great, where you can learn about like releasing fascia.
Okay.
That's the physical side of it. Then there's also the mental side of it and understanding that all of your like baggage, your emotional baggage, your stories in your mind, your limiting beliefs, like your value systems of how you believe the world operates exist at the unconscious level. Like so they exist at a level that you generally don't have access to unless you've learned how to change your brain, or change your mind and change your brain waves to get to those like trance-like states, which is where experiences, like that's what I do now, is like I do breakthrough experiences. It's taking someone through mental emotional release technique, which is a form of using hypnotherapy to get into the unconscious mind and reprogram these things. Like there's a reason why someone's afraid in this scenario. And actually, Brett touched on it a little bit today. Like he's actually pinpointed some of the origin of these things and who they came from. So he has a better understanding of it. Like, and that's part of the process. And through what's called MER, can go into it and actually remove it. And I know how maybe impossible that might sound, but like as someone who's gone through it themselves and also takes clients through it, like it's fascinating because it happens. Like so where like these thoughts that you once had disappear. Like so that's why I talk about getting to this mental place. Like I remember after my first personal experience going through it, like I couldn't hold an unloving thought about myself. I couldn't create it, which is very difficult to understand. One, like prior to it happening, and then afterwards, it's just amazing to like, how is this possible that's not happening? Um, so it's like that's like the ways to remove it. In order to truly get rid of it, I do believe you need someone from the outside to help. Like, and that's where the breakthrough experience comes in. But the physical side is also just as important. Like
Okay.
in order for the mind to open, the body must be safe. In order for the body to open, the mind must feel safe as well. So so they go hand in hand.
Okay. When it comes to the massages, are there like specific types of massages that you need, or is it just general?
You're looking for someone who has familiarity with what's called structural integration or anatomy trains. Like there's a
Okay.
guy, his name is Thomas Myers. He created anatomy trains. Even people like acupuncture and Chinese medicine would understand it, and like Chinese meridians. It's all connected where you have these lines of fascia in your body that connect musculature from head to toe. So like your feet are connected to your tongue through a fascial
Mm.
network of that connects all of your muscles. So a lot of people get tight in their hips, their diaphragm, their back, and it's all related to these lines. So someone who's familiar with it, you have the ability to release it. It's not just going to getting, they're not just rubbing you like a massage and soft your muscles. They actually understand that, hey, this line goes through here. These muscles are all connected. If I want them to release their ribs, we have to release not just around the rib cage, but their inner thighs and like down on their feet. Like it's a very, I guess, in-depth approach to massage versus, uh, I would say typical like Swedish massage. You know,
Okay,
like,
but
like
how do
generally you're involved in it, like you're moving and doing stuff.
okay, but how does like massaging your muscles like help with reducing, emotions? How is that
Mm,
connection?
yep. So all of your muscles throughout your, like everything in your body, every tissue inside of your body is covered in what is called fascia. So if you're dissecting something, you look at a muscle, it has white stuff on it. That is your fascial substance. When that fascia becomes mechanically manipulated, they've discovered it. Two things happen. One, it becomes liquid. Two, it becomes electrified. So inside of your fascia are more blood vessels and nerve endings than any other piece of organ, skin, everything. It's got more of it. Everything runs through your fascia. I don't know how else to explain this except like everything. So back in the early 1900s, they understood this very well. Fascia is the creator of life and the bringer of death because if it happens in the fascia, it travels everywhere through your body. Our lifestyles create situations where we spend a lot of times in positions like this, sitting. We don't have enough movement, and we have an impossible world to live in of noise, electrical stimulation, as well as constant fear and emotional roller coaster you're put on all day long if you're on social media. Emotions actually create changes in the body. So those changes and the experience of your environment create blocks in the fascial network, which disrupt the flow of all of this liquid and substance. So when you release the fascia, you're opening up more flow, which is allowing things to clear the body. And this also ties into like it's very hard to explain in just a few minutes because it ties into like consciousness and like your consciousness exists in your fascial network as well as going up into your pineal gland. So a lot of things like people, it's all correlated between the areas of your body that are blocked and the emotional disturbances that you have. So someone who is
Okay,
dealing with a lot of fear and a lot of guilt are having blocks generally in their pelvic area and in their digestive system. That correlates to like the energy systems from Eastern medicine and the chakras, and that correlates back into psychology. Like it's all connected. And like I guess to give you more detail of what I do, like that's what I've done is figured out and connected all of these pieces together. How does the mind
okay,
connect to the body? How does this actually connect to what is called energy? And how is it all correlated to the psychology of how we experience life? So if you look up, like one of the easiest ways to do it is look up human garage because they've become relatively popular in the last few years and they've worked with some famous celebrities at this point where they show these releases where like, and again, you can do some of these on yourself. Um, I've in my email list, I write about some of this stuff as well, and I've published on Substack about these releases. But like they'll grab someone's tongue because the tongue is connected all the way down. And just by holding it in a certain way and allowing yourself to relax, it starts to release. The next thing you know, the woman's crying and like freaking out. If you ever been to like a breathwork experience, people release tons of emotions. So like somatic massage is the release of emotional trauma through physical manipulation of the body.
interesting.
Yeah, so it'd be like
Yeah.
if you watch YouTube videos on it, you'll be blown away by like how it happens. But like all of that stuff, I don't know how else to say it other than it's true. Like I can tell you from personal experience through helping people through it, it's all connected.
Okay, and you said it human garage?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right, I'll search it up. Thank you.
And if just while we're here, before we jump off, if anyone wants more insights into how all this is connected, how you can actually make changes, I do have my first book out on it called Finding Me. It's literally the story, but also a map of how I ended the mental noise and the war that was going on inside. So if you want that, it's free plus shipping offer, so feel free to grab it. And that will give you like kind of the tip of the spear of how all this is connected. And like the work I'm doing now is putting together all these other pieces for you. It's like, so I can show you now step by step how to go through it mentally, physically, and also spiritually, because it's all connected. But if that's it for today, hopefully this has been valuable for you guys and you learn a little bit.
Yeah, I
And
appreciate it.
my pleasure. If you guys have any questions, just feel free to reach out, and I'm excited to hear how things go for you guys.
Thanks, man.
All right, see ya.
Appreciate it.